1, 2, 3, blast off! Cole and Tabor having a blast on the traveling couch.
What's up, bro?
What's up, Tabor? How's it been hanging, man? 3 weeks since we last recorded, so lots has happened. We've probably seen lots that we can talk about.
Yep. Specifically, 3 things. I can't remember anything else I've watched. Do the intro?
Oh, for sure. Welcome, everybody, to the Cole and Tabor podcast. We're going to be talking about, in this episode, 3 very blockbustery movies that all came out in a very short time span in the last few weeks. Yeah, welcome. Thanks for joining us, and we're not going to be doing much other than talking about movies, so if you get bored of that easily, sorry.
Yeah, bro. What are you doing here? Yeah, man. It's been God, the energy is flowing off me.
I'm feeling it too, man. It's been a week.
Yeah. How was Florida? You back finally? Well,
Yeah,
of course you are.
yeah.
You're in your same room.
Yeah. Florida was great, man. Florida, I have found in the last year, Florida is my place. Like,
Sick.
I belong there, and I don't know why I didn't discover that sooner in life. So,
Heck yeah. Are you moving there, or are you still figuring that out?
I'm planning on it in February. That's
Cool.
the current plan. Yeah.
Heck yeah. I can't believe you're going to be leaving Nebraska. This is crazy.
Where this podcast is famously hosted,
Yeah.
Lincoln, Nebraska.
Well, hey, we don't talk about Lincoln. They're our enemies, man. I can't believe you joke about that shit.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
So, I mean, where do we start? The furthest away? I don't know. You
Yeah,
decide.
I think we start with the furthest one back, which in this case is Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1.
I feel so bad for that movie. It really is gotten played by potentially Oppenheimer. Because the income for it went down like majorly, it seems.
Really? Okay, interesting. I haven't been watching the numbers, but that makes sense.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, like the Oppenheimer came in and stole all of the IMAX spots, and then Barbie is taking whatever's left over from Oppenheimer.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
Dude, Barbie is a wave, man. It is crazy.
Yeah.
What are your just overall impressions of Dead Reckoning Part 1 before we get into the nitty-gritty?
Dope.
Okay.
Yeah. I
Cool.
liked it a lot.
Cool.
What about
Cool.
you?
I liked it, but I liked it like at a medium level for the Mission Impossible movies.
Okay.
But yeah, I did like it.
So like above 2 and 3, but below like Fallout.
No, actually, 3 is my favorite in the whole
Okay,
series.
me too.
Yeah, so far
I
below 3.
Recently I've just seen a lot of 3 hate, so I wasn't sure.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
It does stand out from the other ones, and so does the second one in different ways. But I'd say probably like I'd put this maybe at a tie with Fallout, and above 2, below 3,
Okay.
below 1, probably
Below Rogue Nation.
probably above Rogue Nation, below Ghost Protocol,
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. Which is not saying anything bad about it, because all of those movies are. I haven't re-seen 2 or 1 in a really long time,
Mhm.
but all of those movies are fantastic. So it's
They all have merit. Yeah. For sure.
I'm sure if I rewatch 2 with like having seen all of them now, it may be different.
Yeah.
But I remember having fun. But
It is very fun.
the new one, the whole part 1, part 2 thing is, I mean, I didn't think they messed that up. I felt like this movie was complete by itself.
Yeah.
Like,
I dig it.
I don't know if it felt like Dune, where Dune, like the end of it kind of felt hollow because it didn't feel like there was a complete end to the story, I guess.
I heard a lot of people had that experience with Dune. I didn't, however. I felt like it ended where it should have ended.
Yeah. I mean,
but yeah, continue.
I think I'm excited. But yeah, this one I feel like it ended at a pretty good spot, and then it left a little sprinkle of what's next, and I think it could stand alone, and I think it does stand alone.
Cool.
And I'm excited, and I think Dune stands alone too. There's no Dune hate. But yeah, I mean, and I'm excited that this and Spider-Man will both have movies next year, as long as neither of them get pushed back.
Right.
With the strikes going on, of course they will.
Yeah.
Not be pushed back. Of course they will not be pushed back because they can't be. They have to have something come out next year.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Freaky times for movie going. Yeah. What can I get into some of my criticisms of Dead Reckoning? Or would we rather go pros? Okay. One of the things that did not work super well for me was the villain, and I don't mean the guy, the
robot,
the AI villain. Obviously, that concept of the danger of AI is one of the conversations that is happening right now. It has I think the last time that people were talking big about this kind of stuff, I was still in middle school or something. It's one of those things that cycles with new developments in either robotics or machine learning. And recently it's just been things are crazier than they've ever been, so there's more to talk about. The writing of this movie probably predates all the public conversation, so it might not be
the last 2 years.
Yeah, so probably not a direct result of that, but it came at the right time in a sense. My problem with it is that it feels horribly outdated because of what the current conversation around AI is. Mm-hmm. And I feel like this AI villain is the exact same one that we've seen in 5 other movies so far. Vicky from iRobot, the thing from Eagle Eye, Echelon. It's just the same thing. It doesn't set itself apart in any way for me. And so I felt like the very premise that this movie was built upon, the threat, is something I have been tired of for over a decade. Yeah. So that was a bummer for me.
Oh,
that was probably the biggest issue, I think. But
yeah, I don't know. I mean, it certainly is not the best villain, and I'm not even sure if the dude is all that great.
Yeah.
I mean, at least not yet. Not when you're comparing him to, in the last movie we had Henry Cavill, and we've already peaked with Philip Seymour Hoffman, but I don't know. Yeah. I think. No, you're right. I don't have a lot of connection because you named all those movies, and I realized I had no idea. I haven't seen iRobot in forever.
Oh yeah.
So I can't remember how any of those deal with the same situation. Mm-hmm. It does seem, now thinking back on it, very cartoony.
Yeah, uninspired was the word that kept coming to mind when I was watching it. I was like, this is the most out of the packaging, generic.
Yeah.
It's
AI
just supposed to be
robot
villain
omnipotent threat that feels impossible to beat.
Right.
What did you? I mean, I thought the. It's so hard because I want to pick it. What do you think of the opening and stuff, and where the next movie is probably gonna go?
Yeah, I really like the whole opening sequence, which introduced the machine learning aspect of it, and we're going back almost a month. I'm having a hard time remembering everything, but
it's very tense where they're in the submarine, and then there's a ship, and then it's very interesting, and I like that, and then they shoot the ship, and it's not really there, blah blah blah. Yeah. I didn't understand how the person couldn't be there later in the movie.
Wait, what person? What do you mean?
Remember when they're in the airport, and then Tom Cruise looks and then the dude is standing there, and then he blinks and he's not there, or he takes off his glasses or something.
I think that, like, so he had, like, AR glasses, right? And
yeah,
I think that the machine was putting false images into the CCTV that they were tapped into. And it was probably, I don't remember, but it probably was also putting false images into his AR glasses, which I don't know exactly how it would access that. But
that dude was actually at the airport, though.
What dude was this?
The villain.
Okay, but it probably, my guess is, not remembering specifically how the scene goes, my guess is it was trying to trick him out about where he was or something.
Okay.
Like, if there was ever anyone appearing and disappearing, it had to be through optics, through electronics somehow. And the machine was messing with it.
Hacked into his glasses.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I thought the whole opening was really good. I thought
it was.
When the sound almost completely cuts out and they go to the desert and shit, like, all that was kind of weird.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
I don't know why, but the quiet accepting of the mission and all that kind of didn't work for me.
Okay. Yeah, I don't remember very well how that scene plays out. I probably should have taken notes, more than just mental notes.
I'm really upset I didn't get the chance to watch any of them again yet.
Yeah.
I really wanted to watch this and Oppenheimer again.
Yeah. I'm probably going to see Oppenheimer again in the coming week.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I think that unfortunately, a lot of the story points and characters in this Mission Impossible were not, like, I did not find them compelling. Like, I was not convinced by it. Like, a lot of it did, like, cartoonish, the way you described the AI villain. Like, I felt that a lot of the plot drive was cartoonish. Like, not very clever. Like, the dialogue wasn't very clever. The story wasn't very, it was pretty bland isn't the right word, but pretty simple. Like, in spy thrillers should be anything but simple. They should be pretty complex. But it had a lot going for it, visually and in terms of just, like, feeling of size of the production. And, like, that isn't just there's what you see, but there's also, like, what you hear and what you know about the movie, and that you know that Tom Cruise is now a senior citizen and he's, like, still doing all this. There's, like, so much about it that like, I don't know, gives it an elevated feeling. And I don't know if I would say it makes up for all the defects, but it's, like, it's cool anyway.
Yeah.
It had a lot going for it in that way.
I think the thing that made me so captivated by it was the pacing. I liked a lot of the set pieces, a lot of the locations. Like the airport stuff is all pretty good. How they're constantly moving, and then they have that little thing where Tom Cruise runs behind them on the roof as they're like, "Where'd he go?"
Yeah.
I thought it was, and then, like, the Rome stuff. My movie theater had the thing where the Tom Cruise, or I don't remember, but they're like, and all the Rome driving is real.
Oh, I didn't see anything like that. Interesting.
Yeah, well, I mean, you could probably just look up a promotional video, but he drove that with one hand, and they really did, like, drive through the streets of Rome.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
Yeah, and I thought that whole sequence was pretty good. I mean, yeah, it is crazy that, like 60-year-old, 50-year-old Tom Cruise is still...
Yeah, he's like 64 or something crazy, yeah.
He's going to be doing it forever. At least it seems that way, unless his body stops him.
Yep. The motorcycle jump, the famous motorcycle jump, that was a lot of fun to watch. And watching
the
him
up to that is really fun too, where he's like, well, where are you taking me? And he's like, just keep going, just keep driving.
I love the idea what's Simon Pegg's character's name?
Benji? No.
Benji. Yeah.
Okay.
I love the idea that Benji knows the whole time and he's too afraid to tell him, and Tom Cruise has no idea where he's going, just blind trust in Benji that it's gonna lead to somewhere. He's like at the top of a mountain and Benji's like, okay, you see the train? Yeah. He's like, there you go. You got that parachute, right?
It's
great.
I also
Benji might be my favorite character in the whole series, like even including Ethan Hunt.
Damn. I think that's accurate though. Simon Pegg is so great.
Mm-hmm.
It's either him or Ving Rhames. I really like Ving Rhames.
He's fun.
Or Jeremy Renner.
Oh yeah.
Jeremy Renner.
Yeah,
was
he was pretty
once.
cool when he was in. Yeah.
When he was
Dude, do you remember the girl from Ghost Protocol? That, like, they went to Abu Dhabi or something, or Dubai, and she basically honeypotted the bad guy. She dressed up in this, like, pretty blue dress and everything. Do you remember that she was part of the team? Part of the...
Yes, I do.
Okay. So, I don't remember her name, but she... I remember thinking that she was going to be in this movie, because in the trailers... Like, not watching the trailer closely, there are a couple of, like, quick glimpses of Haley Atwell. Yeah. And I was like, oh, the chick from Ghost Protocol is back. And I was so excited because she was awesome. And I don't know why she didn't come back. Maybe she died. I don't remember anything.
I don't think she died. They don't normally
die. Okay.
Yeah, so... Alec Baldwin.
It was... oh, man, yeah. When I... realized that she wasn't in the movie, I was like super bummed, because that was one of the selling points for this one for me. It's like, oh, she's back. No, it was Haley Atwell. Yeah. And Haley Atwell was one of the people I was not very compelled by in this movie.
Oh, really? I thought she was pretty good.
I thought she was like fine.
I really liked Palm. I can't remember her name.
Was she the right hand of the bad dude?
Palm. Oh, it's gonna kill me.
I don't think I know her name.
Palm Clementif. She plays Mantis in Guardians of the Galaxy. I thought she was great. I really liked, well, pretty much every scene that she was in. I liked her turn, her switch.
I liked how much of a force she was to be reckoned with. And whenever that was like a prominent part of what was going on, I was really enjoying it. Yeah. But if I'm being honest, anytime her character was given any like kind of like human texture, I just like didn't care for it. Mm-hmm. And I think her switch at the end kind of bothered me because I just didn't feel like she would have done that. She felt like soulless, like someone who wouldn't care that someone gave them a pass or whatever.
Yeah, kind of like all she wanted was violence when she was like going through the streets of Rome.
Yeah. So I didn't like that their survival depended on her doing this switch that I had a hard time believing. I wish that they would have been fine anyway.
I think she just had like she was more about loyalty and rather than anything else. And then when Ethan Hunt didn't kill her, which I don't know why he didn't kill her, he killed so many people up until that point. Yeah. And we know that Ethan Hunt will kill. But when he didn't kill her, it was just kind of game respect game.
Yeah, right.
I was upset that Rebecca Ferguson, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I didn't like how she went. That was upsetting. She didn't really get that much screen time or that much cool action time. And she was such a great part of Fallout and Rogue Nation.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt like she had built up enough credit, like her character deserved a little more than that. I feel like she went under very stupid circumstances, like why would she put herself in that position kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, she was saving Haley Atwell, and it was either...
Yeah, and she's always been kind of brazen.
Yeah.
But...
I like that she was out in the middle of the desert, though. Even though they did the thing where they're like, oh, did she die? And then, like, 10 minutes later, they're like, no, she didn't die.
And then another 30 minutes later, they're like, but she did this time.
That was like an hour into the movie. This movie's so long.
It is. Very long movie.
It's crazy how long movies are getting. Well, I mean, they've always been this long, but
it's like, it's almost like you can't have a Hollywood blockbuster anymore, especially not something that's part of a franchise, unless it's at least 2.5 hours. It's kind of...
It's crazy.
I like 2-hour movies, man. 2 hours is good. 2 hours is a long movie.
That's just the best way with my adult life to be able to justify going to see it 2 times, 3 times.
Yeah.
Like when I look at like theater time or like show times, I'm like, will that fit? How late is that gonna get over?
Yeah. It's like, it gets out. It's gonna get out at like 11. I'm gonna be home at 11:30. I still have work to do.
Sometimes that's just not the vibe.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
I don't know. Yeah, it does suck that Mission Impossible was 3 weeks away, so it's harder to...
Yeah.
And I didn't take any notes either.
Yeah. I think that Mission Impossible is going to have a future as long as Tom Cruise is alive.
Yes.
But I feel that the franchise, like the last 3 under Christopher McQuarrie, have more or less been the same thing. It's just been bigger each time.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know if I want like the same thing over and over.
But they're getting bigger, dude. But the bigger is cool.
It is cool. It is worth something.
Yeah.
I think that I wish that the direction it would have gone would be like directly descended from J.J. Abrams' Mission Impossible 3. If that was the style moving forward, I think I would like that more. But they're fine as is. I'll take them. But yeah, I guess, and it's not the kind of thing that's going to like have a lull again and then someone can revive it and do something new and brilliant with it. It's got enough going on that it's never gonna like die or have a lull where someone can pick it up again.
It could
until Tom Cruise dies.
Yeah, true. Which I don't think he ever will, man. That guy's going strong. He's going to be running like that into his 90s, hundreds.
Yeah, I can't even run like that, and I'm literally less than half his age.
Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, I don't know. I think Tom Cruise definitely is the thing carrying it, and it was weird. And that was the interesting thing about the first couple is that that guy, it was always a different director, and but I don't know. Maybe after Dead Reckoning Part 2 they could change it, but I don't know if that would happen.
Yeah. There's things to be enjoyed about having a singular director with a singular vision and the consistency there.
Yeah.
And what can be built up because of like the singular vision. But there's also something to be enjoyed about like variety when it comes to franchises. Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the reasons Marvel is getting cooler, or was cool for like a year or two when they were having a bunch of experimental directors come on and do new things, and now we're back to the same old with Marvel.
Formulaic. Yeah, they'll bring in, from time to time, they'll still bring in a new like young buck director, and then they'll like program him and turn him into one of theirs, and then everything is formula again. Yeah.
But I'm excited. I hope that Mission Impossible 2, Dead Reckoning Part 2, I hope they go to space, because I know that's what he's been wanting to do.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
Full Fast and the Furious.
Yeah. One other thing that actually kind of was a bummer in the movie was for all of the practical like filming that they did, which is it's brilliant to like actually film things in camera because it looks so good. But like they very unfortunately like cloaked so much of their practical stuff in CGI like embellishments that it completely like lost the value of being practical. And the best example of that is those 2 cars that ran off the end of the track and like fell into the river, the train cars.
Yeah.
they filmed that practically. They freaking drove 2 train cars off the edge of a like bridge extension they built on this cliffside. Yeah, into a canyon. Thing was, and there's a featurette on it. You can like watch the actual thing. Thing was, it was a dry riverbed beneath, and they crashed the train into this dry riverbed, and all of that is on camera, and it looks super cool. And then I guess they decided that they wanted there to be a river running in this canyon, so they put a CGI river in. So like the thing that's important, the very impact of those 2 real train cars falling from like, I don't know, 150 feet and crashing into the ground, you lose the entire moment of the impact because instead it splashes into fake water. Damn. So the whole thing became pointless to do practically. So that was a little upsetting. But
yeah, I guess I just didn't notice it. I also didn't know that trivia beforehand.
Yeah, I wish I hadn't known it.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing about, well, I mean, this and Oppenheimer, where it's very much about the fact that they didn't use that much CGI.
Yeah.
Or like, this is how cool we are.
Right.
But I think that stuff is cool. But I don't know if it's necessary for a good movie to not have, or be so focused on not having effects or special effects.
Right. It has value for sure, filming practically, but so does CGI, and it's all about using each one in its turn, in its right spot. Yeah. And I have some things to say about the practical in Oppenheimer as well when we get to it.
I don't even know if I did any. Was there a lot of behind the scenes on Oppenheimer too? Because I don't know any of how they did anything.
All that I know from featurettes is that all of the visuals pertaining to the explosion, the quantum visions he was having, all of that is all in-camera practical stuff. Now there are obviously there are images that are composited from 2 practical images to create stuff and things like that, but there's the fact is that all of the effects themselves are real.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
I don't know, I just don't have it much on Mission Impossible. It sucks because I really did like the movie, and as soon as I left the theater, I was like, gotta get as many people as I can to see it. And I haven't gotten anyone to, which sucks. But yeah. Sorry,
I cut you off. Keep going. It just reminded me of something.
Everyone I talk to about it, they're like, I don't like Tom Cruise, and that's why I'll never watch the Mission Impossible movie, and that sucks. Because I think you can not like Tom Cruise, but I just don't know the visceral hate for him.
Yeah, me neither. It is strange, but there's a lot of sentiment in that way.
Yeah.
From lay people, from people who like
may not
aren't even like moviegoers. You know what I mean? Like
people that don't even know that he's a part of Scientology or whatever.
Yeah.
I think I've just seen so many things where he is a great actor, and I think Ethan Hunt, or like Mission Impossible as a project, I do feel the passion that both him and Christopher McQuarrie have. And I think that's a lot of what I'm vibing with whenever I watch these movies.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Sweet. I tried an experiment where, and my roommate can probably hear me talking, so I'm about to ruin my own experiment, but that's okay. It's been long enough.
Okay.
Once upon a time, I went and watched Rogue One. I really liked it. And and a friend of mine texted me after the movie asking what I thought, and I was like, "Oh man, it sucked! Like it was man, just probably the worst Star Wars movie so far." And I was totally kidding, but I wasn't going to tell them that until after. So they went and watched it the next day, and they came out of the movie and they texted me and they were like, "You were right, that movie did suck." And I was like, no, did I do that to you? Like, did I ruin your experience by like planting the idea? Yeah. And usually, it works the opposite way. If you go in thinking low, you come out feeling high. Go in thinking high, come out feeling low.
Yeah.
But it was like I programmed this idea in her head that it would suck. And she came out thinking it sucked. And to this day, she's like the only person that I've talked to that feels that way about Rogue One. I know that not everyone loved it, but she was like, "Oh yeah, it sucked." So I tried something with Mission Impossible, this last one, because to me it was, like I told you, kind of just among the rest of the Mission Impossible movies quality wise. Like, it didn't stand out to me, other than I felt it was really cool in its scale.
Yeah.
And my roommate and I went and watched Fallout when it came out, and we were so excited for Fallout. I think I told you that, like, I was like obsessing over the trailer for Fallout for a while.
Yeah.
So we went in thinking high, came out feeling low. We were disappointed. And I had like a semblance of the same experience this time around. I didn't go in expecting the world, but I was like, this might, bring me up a little bit from Fallout. But I feel like it kind of sat in around the same space where I just thought it was good. I liked it, and that was it. And so that was a little disappointing compared to what I hoped for. So knowing that my roommate would probably have the same experience with it, I was like, I'm going to program him the opposite way. They were handing out posters like at the end of the movie, so I got 2 of them, one for each of my roommates. I came home and I was like, I handed them the posters. I was like, you guys are going to want to frame these. This movie is the new standard for spy thrillers. Like, best action movie I think I've seen. It was so good. And I was just like planting this super hard, hoping that they would go and watch it and have a better experience than me. Or I would get to laugh because they would go and be super disappointed.
Yeah, because you
either way, yeah. So, but it's been like 3 weeks and those guys still haven't gone and seen it. So,
oh, what the fuck?
I know, they're hopeless. So I had the same experience as you, where it's like I can't get anyone to go see it.
That sucks. I mean, maybe it's not Oppenheimer killing it. Maybe it's just people not wanting to see Tom Cruise anymore.
I guess.
He's not a movie seller. Which is crazy to think if that is true.
Right.
Yeah, I think whenever I've told my friends about it or my experience, I've just tried to be like, hush, hush. Like, just don't give any details. Don't try to say whether it was better or worse than the last one, because, I just don't want people to go into it too high or too low.
Mm-hmm.
I would just hate to sway someone's opinion.
Yeah.
Close to me. Anyone watching this video, please like Tom Cruise and Tom Cruise movies and love Dead Reckoning. Love Dead Reckoning with me.
And then email me.
Yeah, and I'll rewatch it. I won't. I'll rewatch it for next time, and then I'll talk about it again with more hype. I won't. It's not going to happen. So, dude, Oppenheimer was pretty cool. Speaking of special versus CGI effects.
Right.
But I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about how dope Cillian Murphy was. I thought it was crazy that there was just so many actors in every pocket of this movie.
Yeah.
One of the things to start off with the criticism that I didn't like is the fact that I didn't really know any of the people, why they were important, except for a couple of them. And that's probably on purpose to some extent.
Sure.
Because you can't just fucking force feed a bunch of information about Josh Peck's character, whoever that guy was.
The switch flipper, the guy that was hired to flip the switch, or turn on the lights or whatever he did. I don't know.
He was one of the first 2 physicists that were recruited, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
But I felt like I didn't see him until he flipped the switch.
Right. Yeah.
What I can't remember the director's name now, but Benny. Him and his brother, he was in this movie. He played the dude that created the hydrogen bomb.
Oh, wait, that's not...
That's not who.
You're talking about Teller?
Benny Safdie. Safdie.
Oh, that was one of the Safdies?
Yeah.
I had no idea. No, man, I had no idea. I didn't know what they looked like.
Yeah. He's been
hilarious.
Benny Safdie has been more on a acting kick, I think, than his brother.
Okay.
and I thought he was great. But he's like one of the only characters you actually know what happens.
It's because he's one of the only characters that they give more than...
I can still hear you. 1 sec.
Okay.
Just keep talking.
Cool. He's one of the only characters they give more than one sentence of like establishing information for. All these other people that were like... And I get why they would be included in the story, because Christopher Nolan's covering like a long time span, and the project itself obviously included so many people, and so he's like trying to give what's the word, like give you a cross section like view, like open the thing up, this is kind of what it was, so you get a glimpse of like all these people on the periphery of it. But it is tricky because from what I could follow, like each person's relevance was established with at most one sentence worth of dialogue, and if you miss it, you miss it. But his had a continuing importance, and that was a fun aspect of it. That was new information to me. I had no idea that the hydrogen bomb was like a thing that was already conceived of and being considered at the time they were developing the first atomic bomb. I had no idea.
It is crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy that that whole part where he comes in and they're trying to have that conversation. He's like, no, I just want to talk about my hydrogen bomb.
Yeah.
And then I didn't really get that there was any tension there until and I'm sure this is on purpose, but that there was tension until the interview where they're like one of the people that set up Oppenheimer was Teller. Or whatever. Or not that he wasn't a part of like the grand conspiracy, but he was definitely willing to go along with it.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know. I thought they were working pretty well together, and then they just
It seemed like Oppenheimer like went out of his way to make sure that despite their difference of ideas about how to move forward with this thing they were currently working on, he was like inclusive anyway. He's like, hey, let's meet once a week and talk about your ideas. I thought that was cool.
You don't even have to work on my bomb. We'll just talk about your bomb when we can.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, and then like Casey Affleck shows up in like a minor role.
2 hours into the movie.
Yeah, very scary role, but I don't know, it was crazy. It was crazy constantly being like, oh, I know that guy.
Yeah, it was crazy. I think that because of how many characters there were, it did help that so many of them were known people, because I think you would just get inundated after a while if they were all new faces.
Face blindness.
And new characters. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think of Oppenheimer now that we're past the end?
Sucked, man. No,
really?
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, but I didn't.
Nolan.
I didn't like it as much as most people will, I think.
Yeah.
It's the second time only that I've felt in some way let down by a Christopher Nolan movie.
What's the
and
other
the
one?
only other one was Dunkirk.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn.
And I know that there's like a strong love for Dunkirk out there among like certain people.
Certain
but,
people. Film assholes. Just say
maybe. No, but I found it interesting.
British people.
Oh yeah, British people like Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah,
British people. Just kidding. I found it interesting that the commonality between the two movies that I didn't have all my expectations fulfilled by in terms of Christopher Nolan movies, they were both historical dramas. Like all of his fictional stuff has hit every mark in my expectations. Like I've either always been met where my expectations were, or they've been exceeded by stuff he does. And Oppenheimer, for some reason, I don't know, maybe it was the 1.5 long marketing campaign, but like...
Was it the three hours of movie there that ruined it?
Well, that had an impact. It didn't ruin anything, but it had an impact. But I think it was like just all of the build up to it and everything. I had the idea that like this one could not possibly disappoint me. I think that
you're just killing your own thing. You're thinking about it too much.
I know, but that's the thing is like that's the problem with a 1.5 year long marketing thing is like I have all that time to begin to expect things, and so I just like I didn't see how it could be anything other than the best thing he's ever made, and even the trailers kind of let me feel that
he's already made the best thing he'll ever make. Tenet, Memento.
Tenet was very good. Memento was very good too.
But also, I just like the smaller, grounded stuff. So, Memento's a little bit more my vibe.
I get you.
But, I don't know, I didn't really hype myself up. I think after a while I think I was hyped. And then after a while, I was, like, not that into it.
Okay.
Into the idea of watching it. And then, because it was, like, 3 hours long, it's going to be some... like just leading up to the bomb, I think I lost that momentum in myself, and then around when it became a meme and I thought it was funny, that's when I was like back into the whole Barbenheimer thing.
Cool. I wore a Barbenheimer shirt to. I was gonna wear it to both of them, but I forgot, so I only wore it to Barbie.
Damn, that would have been that's a fun one to do it to though.
Yeah.
So I think that's what got me back into it. But I don't know what I thought it would be. Mm-hmm. And I think overall, I walked out of it very, just unable to process.
Sure.
Because, the first hour, I don't know if anything that exciting happens. Then the next hour, where they're leading up to the bomb and set off the bomb, it's like some of the best movie making out there. Mm-hmm. There's tension, and all they're doing is talking in boardrooms about what they're building, how they're gonna build it, the repercussions of that, and then finally setting it off. All that, technically should be boring, especially compared to a Mission Impossible where a dude jumps off a cliff.
Right.
And then where a person in my movie theater said, the first 2 hours are good, but the last hour, is just a bunch of sitting in courtrooms. And it's that was hooked me even deeper, was them constantly finally answering questions that you've always had. Mm-hmm. And then also just the tension and learning Robert Downey Jr.'s real intentions and motives, and the movie does a pretty good job at convincing you that Robert Downey Jr. is a good guy.
Right. Yeah.
And then that his switch I thought was great, and then Teller's switch was cool, and then the constant spiraling of learning what is actually happening in these courtrooms, and it's not about the fact that he killed, or that he was a part of killing 500,000 or 200,000 people. I forget the number. It was more about his political, and the fact that he didn't want weapons to be used. Which is crazy, right? Oh, and then that final, I don't understand the line. What do you think? Okay, spoilers. First, there's a message at the beginning. If you don't know the spoilers, get the fuck out. But the final line in the movie where he talks to Einstein, what is he? I don't know if I get it as what.
Okay.
I'm being vulnerable.
Yeah, I think.
Because he says,
I could have this wrong.
What does he say? He's like, do you remember when I first came to you and we figured out, and I brought you a piece of paper that said the atmosphere would catch on fire? And he's like, yeah, what did I say? And he says, I don't remember. It wasn't important or something. You go.
I think how it went was, he goes, remember when I brought to you the problem of how, we were worried that if we set off the atomic bomb, we might, he used metaphorical words here. He said, we might set off a chain reaction that would destroy the world. He didn't specifically mention the atmosphere, right? That was the literal thing. But he said we might set off a chain reaction that would destroy the world. And you think he's just only talking about the literal physical. And he goes, and you told us to... I can't remember. There was something in between there, maybe about how he told them to like run the calculations, and if it seemed fine, do it. There might have been some mention of that, but anyway, Albert Einstein gets around to asking him, "So what did you find?" And he goes, "I think we did," or in other words, "I think we did begin something that would be the end." They began the end of the world. They set off a chain reaction that would eventually destroy the world.
See.
I loved that.
That is good.
Loved that line. It was such a... I did enjoy all of the proceedings in the last 40 minutes of the movie, setting the two hearings against each other, or rather interweaving them and using that to fill in stuff from the first 2 hours.
Was perfect.
It was very well crafted. I did enjoy all of it, but I struggled with... basically, this was a movie that was about the hearings and the bomb and the race to the bomb and all of that, and all of Oppenheimer's biographical content. All of that was informational background for what was happening in the hearings.
Yes.
And I feel like because of that, it's not a movie about the race to the bomb. Now, if that's the case, we should have had a 2-hour movie that was about the hearings, featuring some of the background, including moments from the race to the bomb. However, he put a whole ass movie about the race to the bomb into and kind of before the movie about the hearings. And I would have loved a movie about the one. I would have loved a movie about the other. But pretending that it's going to be the one, but trying to sneakily do both, it's that really, it was disjointed to me. And I think that because basically the movie ended after the bomb and after the wrap up and after they, he got the phone call saying that they dropped it in Hiroshima and all of that, the movie was basically over. And then it goes on for another 40 minutes, despite how well crafted it was and despite how much I would have loved it in its own movie. I struggled with that. It kind of, I was having a hard time not falling asleep. And it was just because
But what would the ending be if it wasn't about the hearings and the... Because I'm imagining the movie where it is just about the bomb, and then the bomb goes off, and then we set it off in Hiroshima, and then the movie ends. And I'm wondering what that actually means, or what that ending would be.
I don't know, but I'm sure that Christopher Nolan and all of his genius could figure out a 5-minute falling action to a conclusion. I think it could have been done.
Yeah.
But because I felt the exhaustion of having finished this tense movie, and again, it pretty much was over, and then I sat through all of what remained.
Yeah.
I had, basically a lull in my enjoyment, despite how good all that stuff was. It really was. I had a lull in my enjoyment, but that final line, that dialogue between him and Albert Einstein, that was such a high note, man, that I thank goodness for that, because I think I would have been I would have hated the whole last half of the movie, basically. Yeah. But because of the high note, it brought me back in despite all of the difficulty I had with the pacing and the disjoint. And anyway, it wasn't enough to, I think, fix the structural problems of the movie, but it was a high note. It had a very strong impact. I think we did. And it's anyway.
I that's an interesting way to view it. I guess I think probably the source material that they took it from was about the same thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I feel like it's appropriate for the movie to, I don't know, actually finish by saying something. 'Cause
yeah, for sure.
I mean, I think the parts that they could have cut out for me a lot is him saying he's not a communist for the first half an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Or I mean,
right.
sorry, that like just before he goes into there's like a whole half an hour part where it's just about how much of a not a communist he is,
Right.
and that stuff was a little drawn out, and it, and I don't know, it was weird because it just seemed like Oppenheimer was a guy that didn't know what he actually believed. Like he had all these thoughts and all these ideas, but he didn't know what he believed, or he was at least not willing to say what he believed. And then by the time when I get that part at the end where they finally ask him and they get him to admit it, that part's really powerful.
Yeah.
Because it's like the first time you actually hear the man's non-political coverings of what he actually thinks.
Right. Yeah. That was good.
Yeah.
Cillian Murphy is very good at like how.
Strong
I'm not sure how
types.
like the same person can be that like foreboding, confident, like kind of dangerous, sitting in a corner, like you're kind of afraid to look him in the eye. So he can be that, and he can also play so well the visage and the feeling of like being backed into a corner and being anxious, and like he did both of those so well.
Yeah, like all the moments when he's sitting in the chair while people talk, and he's just like, you're slowly seeing him being broken down after hours and hours upon interviews where he's known the whole time where it was going.
Right.
But yeah, then you compare that to where like earlier on, this like the passion and the control that he has, and the like, because every time he talks, he holds that I can't think. It's just very charismatic.
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
Because you hear in the movie a lot that Oppenheimer is a charismatic guy that can make you believe whatever, and Cillian Murphy is making me that way. Like whatever he was saying, I was taking at face value, and I believed what he was saying.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's
even when he was talking about like setting it off in Japan, you're still like, oh, I can see what he's saying.
Yeah.
It sucks, but
yeah. And I think you probably know this. Cillian Murphy auditioned to play Bruce Wayne in Batman Begins.
Yeah.
And his audition was obviously a couple of the problems Christopher Nolan had to do with like physical stuff. Like he didn't feel that he was big enough, and he had, Christian Bale and other people auditioning who were bigger statured than him, and met, I guess, some of his other like qualifications. But he, like, after Cillian Murphy's audition, he was like, listen, you're not right for this part, but I need you in this movie. And that's why he cast him as Scarecrow. Yeah. And you can just imagine that. And we've seen him do other things. What's that? Where he plays Tommy. What's that?
Peaky Blinders.
Peaky Blinders. We've seen him do other like pretty intense acting turns. Really good at the drama. We've seen him do some like really good stuff, and you can just imagine that Christopher Nolan, like after making friends with him back before Batman Begins, that he's been like waiting for the opportunity to build something around Cillian Murphy and really showcase his absolutely raw talent.
Yeah.
And I think that's a large reason why this movie was is to feature Cillian Murphy, and I think Christopher Nolan was right for that.
I mean, it's probably Oscar worthy.
Yeah.
If you believe in the Oscars.
Right.
I don't know. Like, probably the best performance this year so far.
Yeah. It was very, very good.
So, one of the things I really liked was the sound effects, or like how they're constantly referencing the footsteps. The which they also used in the trailer, which was interesting. It's like, and then like you finally learn what it is, and I thought that was. It's interesting to put it throughout the entire movie, almost like it's saying like, Oppenheimer's life was always going to lead here.
Interesting.
And like maybe he was always feeling that way, or feeling those like underlying God, I can't talk today. But you know what I'm trying to say? Like he was always anxious about the results of what was going to happen.
Yeah. They're probably like an allure to the possibility of greatness, and also, like what are the ramifications of like messing with this world, this quantum, like unknowable thing.
Yeah. And then when it starts like, because like the hallucinations kind of are in the beginning, and then it seems like they disappear for a while, and then like right when the bomb drops and like they like ramp up to 100, and all of that stuff past that point, it's so engaging and visceral, and like it really, you know, allows you to imagine those horrors.
Right.
And potentially how he saw them, and you know the immense regret, like knowing that you were a part of that. Not only were you a part of it, you were the main part of it.
Yeah. You're the reason why it happened so successfully.
Yeah, and
successfully,
it's crazy.
I guess.
Yeah, quote on.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. It just and then like the bomb. Did you learn how they did the bomb? It's real explosions, right? It has to be.
Yeah. So all of the flame, all of the explosion, like that is all real in camera. No. I wish. I wanted so bad for them to just actually blow up an atomic bomb in the New Mexican desert. But no, they made smaller explosions, scaled them up, and I think, like, maybe. I don't think they did like a forced perspective thing where it was just closer. I think it was actually like they didn't film it there. So all I know is that they were practical explosions. But I think what happened is they, somewhere else in a more controlled environment or whatever, they filmed the explosion or the explosions, because it might have been composited, and that they were smaller scale, and they then scaled them up and placed them into that scene. So like cut and paste sort of.
Okay.
And that's actually, that was what I wanted to talk about. Like, I loved all the practical when it came to the visions of this like quantum world that he was probing into in his mind. Yeah, loved all of that. Looked so cool. And it felt so like visceral, like physical. But the explosion itself, while it looked really good, it didn't have the feeling of size that the actual Trinity explosion does. Yeah. Like it didn't fool me into thinking it was actually an atomic-sized explosion. It looked and felt like, to my eyes and to my brain, like something that was smaller that was just scaled up. Like the surface features looked like the features of something smaller scaled up. Okay. And so I was a little disappointed in the actual explosion. Not because it looked anything other than fantastic. It looked really good. And I think there was a lot of merit to him seeking to build that scene practically. Yeah. That was very cool. I just think in this situation, excuse me, it would have been worth a little CGI, because like I needed that thing to look and feel like the Trinity explosion, and it didn't.
I don't know if I could put my finger on it. I don't think it's that, but there was definitely a part of me that felt a little let down by the explosion. Okay. Whether it was like they didn't spend enough time on it, or like I was expecting maybe a bigger boom when like the shockwave came. Something about it did feel off. It didn't feel like the end of a movie good. And that's maybe why it was exciting to still have the entire rest of the movie for me.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, it didn't feel like an end.
Interesting.
Like, I like, again, everything leading up to it is like fantastic, and even clicking the thing, and then everyone like slowly, like, you know, the personalities that you've come to know, that you're like, some people take off their glasses, some people never wear their glasses.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy that anybody would take those risks.
I know.
But yeah, there's something felt off.
Okay.
At the time, and but yeah,
I thought that what they were gonna do was just show like really up close, like overwhelmingly in your face, large images, as if like, you know, it just fills your field of view.
Yeah.
I thought they were gonna use like a series of that, kind of like how in the beginning they did a couple of those where you're just seeing these big things that kind of fill the screen. I thought they were going to do that with the explosion to like mask that they didn't have an actual bomb blowing up. And I think that would have sold me a little more. And it also, like, this thing that is godlike in force.
It didn't feel like a nuke.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing, is it just didn't feel like a nuke.
Because it is something that is like intangible in a way, and like hard to conceive of. I think that whole like making it to where you can't quite make out the whole picture would have been a good feeling for that. But
I think it's tough because we have so much footage. Well, maybe not so much, but we have footage of nukes going off, and I thought this would be that plus times 10.
Sure, yeah, because you're seeing it like in person instead of like grainy 50s footage.
Yeah. And it just didn't have that.
Yeah. And there's a like big distinction between like the size of what this explosion was in real life and then like footage that we've seen of like the biggest hydrogen bombs that have ever been blown up. Like it's the visual difference is crazy. But I still think that this didn't feel big enough to even be the explosion that it was supposed to be, the Trinity explosion.
And that's so I don't know. But I mean, maybe it was the best movie explosion yet. I haven't seen all of them. What do you think?
Dude, have you seen the new trailer for The Creator, John David Washington?
No. Does it have a better explosion?
All of there's probably like 15 explosions in that trailer. All of the explosions look so good. Like, I don't know. And I'm watching it on my TV, you know? I'm not even in a movie theater or anything.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever seen, like, so many good-looking explosions in a movie. Well, sorry. I've definitely seen that many explosions in a movie. I just don't know if I've seen any that look that good. And there were several. And they were, like, several different sizes and types. And they all looked really good. Like, it just felt like real fire and smoke and shock. And, yeah, it's good. Watch the trailer.
I'll have to. I mean, I think I've seen, like, the beginning, but then I realized I have no idea what this is. And I don't know. I feel like I've started it so many times, but got uninterested.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, and
I'm excited
part of
for that
me,
one.
Like, I like Tenet, but I just don't know if John David Washington works for me in Tenet.
Okay.
I like him. Like in Black Klansman, he's great. But in Tenet, I just don't know if I felt it, you know?
Do you feel like he's like not a leading man? Like maybe he just had a hard time carrying it?
No, because I like him in Black Klansman. The two movies that I know he is a lead in.
Same. Yeah, that's all I've seen.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think he's like a spy leading man, like the mysterious type.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know.
Enough.
But also that I need to rewatch that movie in general because I think
me too.
I had like a massive headache at the end of Tenet, which sucked ass.
Yeah.
And that movie is not conducive for a headache.
Yeah, that's real unfortunate.
And it was also like the second movie or first movie back from no movie theaters.
Yeah, huh?
That was a lot of pressure for him.
It was very soon. Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, fun fact. The bad guy in the beginning of the movie, the like Russian dude who like tied him up at the train tracks or whatever and like killed his friend, That actor, Andrew Howard, I've been in a scene with that guy while I was backgrounding in a really dumpy CW show called The Outpost.
Okay.
They've done, I think, 3 seasons of it. I watched like the first episode of the first season because that was the season that they filmed here. And it was just so bad. But it was fun seeing, like, I'm like, oh, I was one of that guy's, like, we like raided it's like medieval fantasy sort of thing, and I was part of his like gang of thugs that like raided a tavern or something. So he walks in the door and we all charge in behind him, and
That's cool.
So it was that was like fun being like, oh, and that guy's in a Christopher Nolan movie now.
Yeah. You're like the kids from Shooting Stars. Like that so far that's your one claim to fame.
Yeah. I knew LeBron James.
Yeah. Except your LeBron James is the dude from the beginning of Tenet. You've also been on Yellowstone though, so that's better.
I think I
the
may
film's
never
famously in Nebraska.
Yes, of course. I think I may never, of like the 3 or 4 different episodes I backgrounded on that, I think I may have never actually made it in.
No
like,
way.
I went looking, and I don't remember if I found all of the episodes that they were supposed to be, but at least, like, I don't think I ever found myself in any of the ones I did find. No.
Fake fan, fake Taylor Sheridan
I really,
fan.
I really want to, though. Like, not just because of Taylor Sheridan, but because I hear really good things about it.
Yeah, I just don't watch TV.
It's tough. It's a lot to take on. It's a lot of time.
Yeah, and if I can't watch a 3-hour, like I'd rather watch a 3-hour one-time movie than try to come back to a show over the course of 8 hours.
For sure.
Yeah, dude, I'm out of Oppenheimer things too now.
Okay.
What about you? Got an Oppenheimer thing? Oppenheimer?
Yeah, they called him Oppie a lot. That was funny.
I
don't think
trying to say Oppenheimer every time. That's crazy.
That's true. Yeah, they could have just called him Jay or Robbie or something. Yeah, no, I don't think I have anything else. It was, I don't want anyone to think that I thought it was bad.
Yeah,
I thought it was insanely well made, super well made, and it was a really good movie, and I quite enjoyed it, but it wasn't everything that I hoped it would be, and that's rare for Christopher Nolan and me.
Yeah, just 2 times before. I do have. Did you think it, like all the Robert De Niro stuff with Robert Downey Jr.
Made him look old.
Yeah. Like the Robert Downey, like when he first came on screen, I did have a moment where I was like, "Oh, who's that guy? He looks familiar." And then it was like,
funny.
"Oh, that's Robert Downey Jr. Sick."
Yeah, right.
But I thought it was interesting putting his perspective in black and white. And then, we talked about it where he's like sympathetic in the beginning because you think he's like on Oppie's side.
Yeah.
Do I not know him well enough to call him Oppie?
Probably not.
Okay, I'll be formal. Dr. Oppenheimer. And then he switches. But I thought it was interesting to have the black and white parts be like very clearly like this is Robert Downey Jr.'s story, and then everything in color is the main Oppenheimer timeline.
Okay, so I'm so glad to hear that that's the way it read to you also, because it seemed so obvious that was what the black and white versus color distinction was, because I can't think of a single case where that idea is contradicted. As I was watching it. Right.
So the only thing you could say is that the in color stuff is not Oppenheimer's perspective.
Okay.
Because
good point. That could be
I think sometimes like he's not in the room, or like maybe like you could maybe find things of that. But yeah, very clearly Robert Downey Jr.'s perspective and everything he sees. I'm
gonna drop a bomb on you.
Okay.
No pun intended. Is that a pun, or is it just
sad?
I didn't play on the words. I just used the actual words. Anyway, okay. yeah, watching it, I came to the same conclusion very early in the movie. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
black and white is Louis Strauss's perspective on what happened. Color is Oppenheimer's perspective. It seemed so clear. Now, apparently, I've been told this by two different people. I haven't looked this up myself, so I don't know that this is the case. But two different people told it to me, so I'm assuming they know what they're talking about. Apparently, Christopher Nolan made the statement that the black and white stuff is all stuff that is purely on record, like stuff that is just fact, just representation of fact. All the color stuff is subjective. So it might be where Christopher Nolan inserted his ideas about what might have been said between two people. It might be, no,
because they had.
It might be Oppenheimer's own opinion of what is happening. So in that way, be Oppenheimer's perspective. But it might also be someone else's. Like the scene might be shaded with the feelings of a particular character's thoughts on the subject or whatever. But it's
the
like
main
the point
thing
is,
that's crazy about that is to say that and then be like, so we didn't have any of the Manhattan Project on record.
well, no, it's not that. It's just that the black and white is where no creative liberties were taken, essentially, and the color is where. So it's objective versus subjective. So it's like, this is what happened for sure, and then the subjective is like, this is maybe what happened. This is some of what happened, painted with someone's perspective or whatever. Or maybe this is some of what we don't know happened. So it's objective, subjective. Apparently. Again, I don't know that for a fact. But it seems so weird that if that's what he was going for, he made it seem so evident that black and white was Louis Strauss, color was Oppenheimer. And so I think he kind of did himself a disservice in that way. If it's supposed to be the one, why would it look so obviously like the other?
No. Because they have an entire conversation that is both black and white and in color when they're at the table.
Well,
when they're at the table talking all about the same thing, and in that exact same scene, it switches from black and white to color.
Don't they? Well, like they come back to it in color at a different point, right? But don't they talk about different things? Like they're the conversation. Yeah, the conversation is about the same thing, but don't they go into different moments in the conversation? It's not like a repeat of the same stuff or anything like that. To the point of what we took from it, I think the second time around when it's in color, it is focusing on Oppenheimer's experience with that conversation, and so it could be looked at as his perspective, but that also could mean that it's just because now we're getting a subjective view of this conversation, not what took place and what was said, but how he was feeling about it.
I think that sounds too complex, even for Nolan. And
I agree with you.
So I also found something that said, and this is from Insider. I don't know if Insider can be trusted. Production notes provided to Insider explain that Nolan decided that scenes through Oppenheimer's perspective would be in color. He also wrote them in first person, an unconventional choice for a screenplay, which would be crazy. With occasional cutaway to evocaate surreal imagery that symbolically expressed his interior world, the scenes that center on Strauss would be in black and white.
What the hell is everyone filling my head with then? Okay, I'm a little upset now. I want to know what's true, because supposedly, so these guys are saying that's what Christopher Nolan said.
Well, that's what the production note said.
Okay, so Insider's saying the production notes said that.
Yes.
Now, or in other words, that essentially this is what Christopher Nolan deemed. Yes. Now, these other two people that told me this, they say that came from a statement that Christopher Nolan made too. So what's real?
Oppenheimer's black and white scenes are objective. Well, I'm trying to figure this out. Which used to Oppenheimer uses black and white and color scenes represented the shifting perspectives. The black and white scenes are objective. They are moments in history that are not influenced by opinion or emotion. Oppenheimer is a historical figure, and his creation of the atomic bomb is extremely important in World War II history. Okay, I'm reading word salad.
Yeah,
and my computer froze. It won't let me go
Pull
scroll
up,
down.
pull up.
Oh no, I got an ad for a watch. I'm not gonna say the watch. No free promo.
Nice.
Okay, but this isn't a quote. I want the quote because right now it's explaining to me what you said, but it's not giving me the quote where he says that.
So I wonder then if this is an idea that is making the rounds and people are just telling it to each other like I just did to you and claiming that that's what Christopher Nolan said about it. Because it does make way more intuitive sense when watching the movie that black and white is Strauss, color is Oppenheimer. And if that's not what Christopher Nolan intended, then he did something wrong because he really makes it look that way.
Yeah. That's almost exclusively what happens, I thought.
Yeah, okay. You're making me both feel good and bad. Bad for believing people who are maybe saying nonsense, but good for maybe not being so far off the mark with my experience watching the movie.
We shot a lot of hair and makeup tester. No. I just... I don't know, man. I think it's too deep.
You know what? I bet?
Okay,
this is why I hate TikTok, man. I bet what
there was
happened.
one
You know how
TikTok-
effing everybody gets their information from TikToks nowadays, where some guy who pretends to be
let's not pretend like this is like a new thing. The people go to IMDb
Sure.
IMDb movie trivia and all that shit is like taken with a
Yeah.
grain of salt.
For sure, but I feel like because of how pervasive TikTok is, like people, rumor mill is always spinning. People do this through whatever means they can. But I have noticed that with TikTok, for every interest, for everything, for every movie, just for everything that's out there, there's someone making a TikTok pretending to be an expert on that thing and going, so, in Oppenheimer, the movie is going to be shown in black and white and in color, and the da-da-da-da-da, and probably they will have just read some article like this one from Insider where someone claims that that's what's going to be the case with probably little or no supporting evidence.
Yeah.
And some guy takes to TikTok to give this breakdown to the world so that he can be seen sharing some sort of information.
The Insider article still agreed with us. I looked up a different article for the other shit.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it was like a Screen Rant article. So.
Oh, you're right. Okay.
I'm going to believe
anyway
the people that say, in quotes, it was given to us by production, because they could have lied about that, but...
Okay, sure. But yeah, that whole thing, like, I would bet money that TikTok is to blame for this. Like, some TikTok is making the rounds that has convinced people based on someone's faulty information.
Yeah.
And people just watch TikToks and eat it up and spread it all around, man.
Yeah.
That's been like I don't watch TikTok. I have one because there are a few people I follow. My brother has a pretty awesome TikTok channel, so I follow him. I follow a couple of my friends, but I don't go on there.
Yeah.
And it's almost exclusively because of that, because it is just a world of misinformation where everyone's an expert on something, because to pretend to be an authority gets you views. And if you're saying something interesting, no matter how false, sometimes stuff catches like wildfire, and then people, like everyone watches it and does exactly what I just did, which was take my friend's word for it. That Christopher Nolan said something, because I guess I esteem my friends more highly than I should, thinking that if they say Christopher Nolan said something, that it means that they saw that he actually said something, as opposed to what I did, which was to say, my friends tell me that he said something, but I don't know this. That wasn't the pitch they gave to me.
Yeah, I mean...
Anyway, I'm mourning right now because
you can't trust
I'm
your
also
friends
guilty.
Anymore.
Yeah, and I'm also guilty of passing it on without confirming it.
Yeah.
But I would bet you money that there's a TikTok going around right now, and that's where all this crap comes from.
Granted, I don't think we really know the answer with the information provided.
Yeah, for sure.
We just need to find an interview, and I don't know if I'll find that right.
Because I don't think both of those things
are true.
Like, I don't think Christopher Nolan didn't say both of those things, because both can't be true. They're somewhat mutually exclusive.
But I mean, yeah. But this has been like a decades-long thing where it's like, one actor says one perspective, and then everyone takes that as word, and then
Sure.
or they just take like the surface level of a statement. Like Christopher Nolan said, well, I feel that the black and white you can it makes it feel more like it's real, and then the color feels more fictional or something like that, and then they're like, well, clearly and then it's a whole rabbit hole.
Yeah, just out of context. Yeah, bro, I've got a whole thing against TikTok.
Yeah,
and again,
it's just a time suck.
Yeah. Well, see it. Yeah, I guess. Like, I don't have that problem with it because I don't get sucked into it because I don't use it. Yeah. But it is that is a problem that it creates for people for sure. But the way in which it affects my life is everyone around me spouting off nonsense that they saw in a TikTok because someone pretended to be an authority and they believed them.
Yeah.
Like, question everybody, man. Question everything.
Yes.
You watch a TikTok and someone's pretending they know everything about something.
It might just be a joke.
Just go fact check them.
Yeah. Yo, bro. Well, I watch TikToks because my friends send me TikToks, and I respect.
Yeah.
Just like, I'll check it out, and then you swipe one, and then it just drags you like a hand.
That's funny. I watch whatever someone sends me. I don't watch everything people send me. My brother and my dad send me about 50 a day.
Damn.
And I just won't.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah, the ones that I get every once in a while from friends, like I'll watch the one and then I'll get out of the app right then. Like I'm in and then I'm out. I'm watching it out of a friendly duty, and sometimes it's funny. And then you I don't enjoy back, TikTok.
Haha, dude, dope. And then that's it.
Yeah.
Dude, we're not gonna have a lot of time for it, but Barbie. I want this one to be the one where you come out saying, because last time, I don't know if it was in the video, but you were like not too stoked on seeing it. But now I'm hoping you're coming out of the gate and you're saying it's the best of the three.
Sorry, man, you're about to be disappointed.
So let's hear that exact statement that Barbie was better.
Barbie was a better movie than Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1 and Oppenheimer combined. It wasn't just the pinnacle of Greta Gerwig's career, it was the pinnacle for Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling and Simu Liu
and Noah Baumbach.
Whoever that is.
One of the writers and Greta Gerwig's husband.
Everyone involved. It was one of the most enjoyable things
Will
I've
Ferrell's
ever
20
seen.
minutes was pretty good.
Yep. He's never done anything that good.
So
yeah, I stand by that.
I thought it was pretty good. I think Oppenheimer is better. If you want to have that conversation, which is it's a dumb conversation to have because they're completely vastly different movies.
Right.
I thought Barbie was fun. And I like the color and like the energy in it. And as soon as I realized that it was just it's like one giant absurd mess. It's like the whole thing is like one big joke, and if you learn to just not take it seriously at all, like it has a message, and I think its message is important, but then it does kind of handle the message with like both kid gloves and also just kind of tosses it around, because I don't know, but so yeah, I enjoyed it is what I'm saying.
Okay, cool.
What do you think?
Yeah, that's a good take. I had fun. Like, I thought it was, in some parts, it was, like, really funny.
Yeah.
And that was all, like, worthwhile. I think that, like, it wasn't a good movie. Like, it wasn't a good story or anything. But it was entertaining.
I think it felt a little jumbled. Like, when it was like, well, we're going to the real world, and then we're going to the... I thought it was cool that they didn't really spend that much time in the real world, and it was more just about getting the real characters to the fake world.
Right.
Because we talked about this last time, or whatever. The fish out of water stories are overplayed, and especially when it's like fictional characters going to real world. Then everyone going into the fictional world was better.
Agreed. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I think what makes it a good movie is that is just that it's not it's not serious about.
Yeah.
Because, like, what was the movie supposed to be, I guess? Is it, like, did we want, like, an actual drama about Barbie? Or is this just, like, everything's a joke and I don't know.
I think that if I were making a Barbie movie, like, I would have taken a different approach.
Mm-hmm.
Now, naturally, probably no one would have gone to see my Barbie movie because my taste is not very general. But... So, not the approach I would have taken for sure, but like I get why they did it, and I agree with you. I like the structure of like hopping into the real world had a purpose that only like they only needed to be there momentarily for the effect to be had where it mattered, and so like the whole movie really did well. More than half the movie took place in the Barbie world, so that was ideal. I think that. Even in comedies, even in ridiculous movies, like I'm a stickler for sense, like for things making sense, and I felt like they tried to make sense of it with the narration at the beginning, like this is the Barbie world and this is how everything works in the Barbie world, and not only was it like super annoying being spoon fed this like absolute like garbage explanation for something, but it also like. There was nothing about the rules in that world that were self-consistent. Like, there was just stuff that, like, was left unaccounted for. And, like, it just felt too loose. So then why pretend to have a structure at all? Like, this is how it works.
Yeah.
It's like, but, like, that doesn't make sense with this. And
I think if you look at it from the perspective of playing with toys as kids, it makes a lot more sense. Because there's no self-consistent rules when you're a kid.
Right.
The rules change in an instant, and I think that's what the movie's going for.
So I think it does and it doesn't like help explain that. It helps all of the funny stuff that happens, like seemingly without form. It helps that make sense, but it doesn't help the narrator's like world building, or rather their explanation of the world building. It doesn't help the fallacies in that because this narrator is supposed to be outside of all of that. She's explaining to us that it's the kids playing with the Barbies and everything. So it's like she shouldn't be subject to the whims of the kids and the inconsistency and stuff like that. But she was like, I don't know. Anyway, and it's, it's no one else is going to care. And the people making it didn't care because it wasn't about that. But for me, it's like, if you're going to try to make something make sense, make it make sense.
I see what you mean.
But yeah, very, very entertaining, very funny. I think that a lot of... I'm guessing there were multiple writers.
Yeah, it was couple. It was Greta Gerwig and her husband, Noah Baumbach.
Oh, okay. I see. What was weird to me was, like, some of the dialogue I felt was clever. And I guess some of the events as well. And then some of it was like whatever the exact opposite of clever is. It was like just like stupid. Like
okay, or just stupid. Cliche stupid.
To the point that it's like I just didn't understand how two could exist in the same movie. Like the people writing one wouldn't be capable of writing the other is what it seems like to me.
I think the movie...
So I was very confused by that.
The movie felt like it had to... like two minds where it wanted to push the grain and be this like completely avant-garde nobody's gonna like this movie except for the people who are completely into it or completely into just like absurd. I just like thinking of it absurd, but I've called it absurd like 10 times, so I need to get in a dictionary. A thesaurus, that's the one.
The irony.
Yeah. Well, the dictionary will give you synonyms, okay? Let's not pretend like a dictionary is just for the definition.
Good point.
But then it also tries to be like something people can digest.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. It is double-minded
Yeah.
about itself.
And I liked all of the parts that were like, well, when you go to the real world, you have to travel through, you have to go skiing, and then whatever, and then snowboarding, and then you're rollerblading into the real world, and then in order to go back, you have to be rollerblading on Santa Monica Pier or whatever. Like,
yeah, that was fun.
But then it does have a lot of the predictable beats as well, and that stuff is less exciting. Like the fact that they went to the fish out of water story at all wasn't that.
Sure. Yeah.
It also didn't feel like a lot of attention was given, or not a lot of weight was given to some of the things that happen. Like when Ken goes to the real world, but he only really stays there for like, I don't know, not that long. And then he goes back. Like, I felt like that just happened really fast. And then they drop Will Ferrell from the movie for like 30 minutes, and then he comes back and it's all a farce. Like it's both fun, but also, you know, where did Will Ferrell go? Yeah.
Yeah. Some of the structure of the story was, it was just like, it was lacking. And like, you can say that's unimportant in a movie that's just supposed to be silly.
Yeah.
But one, this movie wasn't just supposed to be silly. Like you said, it took itself seriously at parts.
Yeah.
But two, I think it matters all the time. You could be writing, you know, a Blue's Clues movie, and like, your story should make sense. Like, structure matters. It doesn't matter if the audience is toddlers or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, stuff should make sense, or you shouldn't be writing it.
The movie felt very adult, though. Like, it was meant for adults.
Yeah, for sure.
And then maybe worked backwards into a kid movie.
Yeah. I think that of the crappy dialogue, like of the stuff that was just like, that was dumb. Like, like that's not even funny or whatever. Like, it made a big difference who was delivering it, because you had like actual comedic geniuses like Kate McKinnon and Will Ferrell in this movie. And I would say Ryan Gosling, though maybe not a comedic genius, is a funny dude. And
I thought
he's
he was
like,
great.
He was right for this role for sure. So anytime you had any of those guys delivering a line, it didn't matter if it was one of the poorly written lines or one of the more clever things. It came off like gold.
Yeah.
But like almost, and unfortunately, like, we all like Margot Robbie, but like, she's not a good actor. She's not.
Oh no!
Like,
no.
She's very, like, basically anyone can do.
She's on fire. No. Come on.
Anyone can do what she does.
No.
She's that kind of actor who just like, she just walked into the job.
Nope.
You know what I mean? Like, there's no special talent there or anything. She's just normal. Like, any one of us could do what she does.
I don't think so. I don't think you could be Margot Robbie, man.
I think I could be Barbie.
Because I think that she's very sincere in everything that she does, and I think she brings depth to a lot of everything that I can remember her being in. Like when, like, I really liked her character in Babylon, which you had probably.
I haven't seen, actually.
3 hours. You're never gonna find the time. But like everything she's been in, I don't know. I just really like her.
Okay. I would say, and the reason I brought this up was to say that, like, in her case, she could be delivering a line that was written cleverly, or one of the crappy, like, poorly written lines, and it still didn't matter. It always came off as mediocre coming from her.
Damn.
But they all came off as great coming from some of the other characters. So that was a problem for me. Like, not all of the writing could be saved. But I would say, just going back to our different takes on Margot Robbie, I can't think of a single moment of her on screen in anything I've seen where there was like a moment of like believable depth to me. Like, I've never been sold on any scene she's ever done.
It's hard because right now I can only think of Bombshell, Babylon, and Barbie. Okay. Did I just name 3 B movies?
Wow, you did.
I can only think of the 3
That's
B
crazy.
movies she's been in. And none of them are the B movie. This sucks.
Dude, That's so funny. Babylon. What'd you say? Bombshell, Babylon, and Barbie.
Yeah.
That reminds me of my cousin Tom. One time, he was talking about Joaquin Phoenix, and this is in text form. And he says something to me about Joaquin Phoenix and his Holy Trinity with a J, and I was like, "What?" He goes, "Jesus, Joker, and Johnny Cash."
That's funny.
The Holy Trinity. Yeah.
He likes J characters, or at least those three.
He sure does. Yeah.
I don't know. And I can't really remember Bombshell all that well. I do remember liking that movie.
Okay, I haven't seen that either.
And I can't say anything about Babylon because you would have no reference point for it.
Sure.
And I'm running dry. Like I can't remember her in Wolf on Wall Street at all.
Oh, I never saw that either. Wait, she's in both Wolf on Wall Street and Babylon?
Yeah.
So she was in Wolf on Wall Street, and then she was in the movie where some guy saw Wolf on Wall Street and was like, I want to make Wolf on Wall Street, but in the golden era of Hollywood.
Yeah. Excess on top of excess on top of excess.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's in both of those
Interesting.
movies.
Okay.
She's a bigger part in Babylon, of course.
Okay.
So I don't... So we'll just have to agree to disagree on Margot Robbie is what I'm saying.
For sure.
Until you watch Babylon or I rewatch Barbie.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, speaking of Ryan Gosling,
yes.
and obviously I know we don't have much time, so we don't have to go into this.
Uh-huh.
But I just watched Blade Runner and Blade Runner 2049 for the first time for each one in the last 2 days.
Which one's better?
And so,
Blade Runner 2049. For Blade Runner the original is way too slow. Like I like that movie. I love Blade Runner.
I liked how slow it was.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think that 2049 was every bit as slow. But I think that's
No.
one of the strengths. 2049 was a long movie. It was like
Yes.
2 hours and 50 minutes, and about as much happened as you could fit into like a 15-minute short film if you were really trying. But I liked it.
Okay.
I liked the pacing.
I mean, it's another dumb conversation because they made it two completely different times, and one created like a lot of visual things, and the other one is taking what's been built upon that.
Yeah, homaging.
Yeah,
I think I would say I liked 2049 more just because of like they honestly could have. It wasn't the most natural or obvious direction to go with a sequel to what happened in the first one, and I just thought it was like a clever expansion on the idea. It was good.
Yeah, and I think the stuff, the visual style, like I just love Denis Villeneuve and Roger Deakins, and like every shot in that is wonderful, and all the creative like AI talk, and the fact that they actually like acknowledge that the main character is an AI, and I mean I guess that's the mystery behind Blade Runner, and the fact that you don't know is part of why everybody likes it.
Sure, yeah.
Unless you look at that one Ridley Scott interview where he confirms either or.
Okay. I didn't know he had a...
Which version of Blade Runner did you watch? The first one. There's like 10.
I'm assuming it was the theatrical version. I have no idea.
Did it have narration in the beginning?
I don't remember.
You'd remember.
There probably wasn't then. There was like a title scroll, not a title scroll, but like a prologue scroll thing.
But not actual narration, right?
I don't believe so.
Okay, then you didn't watch the theatrical.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, but people didn't like the theatrical for that reason, I believe. Or maybe I'm getting it mixed up. Now I don't remember. Oh, fart. But yeah, they're good movies. And Ryan Gosling's great in that movie.
He is, yeah. I think that fits him as well. Yeah.
And also just like the visuals of like his AI girlfriend, or that
Bro, I loved that like the whole time like she was at like 90% opacity.
Yeah.
It was like you could barely at all see through her, but it was just enough for you to understand that she wasn't real.
Yeah.
Like I think that's just a clever take on what that
scene
projection
where
would look like.
they have sex and they're like overlaid on top of each other.
Right,
Crazy.
right.
It's crazy how well that worked.
Yeah.
So yeah, dude, good pit stop to Blade Runner being a good movie.
Yeah. It's fun stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. It's upsetting that there's not a lot of time for Barbie, but also I think we've said it all.
Yeah, I think we could, if we did want to talk more, or if we had more time, we could probably go more into like what we think about its ending place, like what it decided was an appropriate resolution for the characters and their struggle with patriarchy, matriarchy, whatever,
Yeah, I think it lands in a pretty good spot to where anybody that is saying that it's like a anti-man or whatever is very weird. It's like they're not watching it.
Right.
I think they just don't understand like subtlety on how you can say like but where the criticism is or the takeaway isn't men should always get what they want. It's more that men should learn to be less reliant on their insecurities in order to drive them in this world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think it ended in a good place. I think that there was a moment, maybe 15 minutes before the end, where I thought it was like concluding, and I was just like, they're not serious, are they? Like, is this their take on how to... I mean, I know they're not resolving the conversation, but like, is this their take on what to walk away with?
Yeah.
And that would have been disappointing. But yeah, where it actually landed, I did think was good.
Yeah.
And pretty funny. Like, they depicted it in a funny way.
Yeah.
Like her basically telling Ken, like, just go be Ken. Find out what Ken is when he doesn't have a Barbie to subjugate. Like, what are you? Yeah. Go do that. And it's all like while he's like ugly crying. Like, I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, it's I mean, and then like the musical numbers are pretty good too. Sorry, I got like brain fart midway through. Yeah, and then the line where they say the whole Supreme Court thing, I know would upset people, but it's like again, I just don't think you understand what they're saying.
Yeah, they're also not like they weren't. It was clear that Barbie world wasn't where it ended. Wasn't like oh, we figured out equality and this is what it was. Just that for them, this is what it's gonna be for now, and they're gonna work their way toward it, just like we are in our world. Like maybe not everybody, but generally speaking, we are working our way toward dismantling structures that prevent equality. Yeah. That prevent equality. Yeah. So they're working on it in their world too, and that's fine.
Yeah. And I don't know. I thought it was probably also made partially to be divisive, which I don't have a problem with. We are running out of time because it is 9:00 here in Nebraska. Next time, and I'm just going to throw these out there, it's probably going to be Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem.
Oh, hell yeah. I forgot that was coming out.
This is an Up in the Air. Meg 2.
Oh, boy. Okay.
Up in the Air.
I'll watch it.
It's not a guarantee, but we should. And then either Haunted Mansion or The Last Voyage of the Demeter. Oh. That comes out on the 11th, so it would be next 2 Fridays from now.
Okay.
Or we say no to the Meg, and we just do Haunted Mansion and Last Voyage of the Demeter.
I could do those yeah. Like, I could have the Meg as like a if I get to it sort of thing, and commit to the other 3. I'd really like that.
Okay, let's do that.
Cool.
Besides that, if you watched it, thank you for tuning in. And I don't have words, so just thank you. We'll see you
Thanks,
next
guys.
time.